All eyes in NASCAR are on Bubba Wallace's potential penalty for releasing his fury after the Grant Park 165 in Chicago on Sunday by ramming into winner Alex Bowman's car on a cool-down lap. And now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has spilled the beans on what is bound to happen and even more. Could Wallace's season be over already? Wallace doored Bowman forcefully just as he removed his window netting and opened his visor, temporarily forcing the 48 into the wall. Will NASCAR penalize Wallace, as it did when Carson Hocevar purposely bumped Harrison Burton while under caution a week earlier? Dale Earnhardt Jr. is unsure whether a punishment is warranted, but he was definite on one point. Drivers need the flexibility to react like Bubba Wallace did. After the race, I'm okay if Bubba goes up there and hits the 48, Earnhardt Jr. said on the Dale Jr. Download podcast. And I'm okay if somebody goes after Chase, Elliott, or Chase goes after somebody. And if they want to find them, that's fine. I don't care. I don't think the drivers mind too much. 5, 10, 15 grand. Don't take points away. Don't truly deter this because this shit is what racing's about. Bubba Wallace was unhappy because Bowman made a mistake early in the race, causing him to spin out. Wallace's car made big impact, costing him a lot of track position and effectively spoiling his day. Bowman eventually apologized and even argued that NASCAR should not penalize Bubba Wallace for the post-race bump. Earnhardt Jr. also believes that a little tap here and there is okay and should not be treated harshly. Now there is a line. There is a line where it's too egregious, too aggressive, too dangerous, and you've got to know as a driver where that's at and not to cross it, Earnhardt Jr. said. But these type of things for me is kind of in our DNA. It's like the gloves coming off at the hockey match and a couple of guys getting an opportunity to throw a few punches before the refs finally come in and go, "All right, enough. The fans have seen enough. I draw the line if the guy ends up backwards. That's over the line." Bowman was unharmed on Sunday after being bumped into the wall, other for being somewhat startled. Even Bowman agreed that the hit was warranted given the previous occurrences throughout the race. Earnhardt Jr. believes that when there is some interaction in the sport, like there was with Bubba Wallace, there is a good element to it. Nonetheless, NASCAR intended to analyze the incident for a potential punishment. That needs to be able to happen, he said. Those things like that, drivers need to be able to do those things, right or wrong. I'm not saying they're right choices. I'm not saying it's what the driver should do. But the drivers need to be able to have a little bit of a jab or two, some flexibility. What's your take on the little tussle between Wallace and Bowman? Should stuff like this be handled with just a fine, like Dale Jr. is suggesting? Or should NASCAR clamp down harder on stuff like this and dock points? Next to all this penalty talk, Dale Jr. also took some time to talk about silly season and some teams' missed chances. He revealed what's next for Front Row Motorsports and Richard Childress Racing as NASCAR enters its silly season. Earnhardt discussed the driver who will join Front Row, as well as potential changes to RCR and the direction of Stewart-Haas Racing's fourth charter. The Front Row stuff is going to be interesting, Earnhardt explained. There's still an unknown about where the fourth Stewart-Haas charter. We don't really truly know where that thing's going to land, where it will live. There is still a lot to shake out. Front Row will be interesting. I think Spire may have some developments possibly. I think we know what's going on at Trackhouse, but not everything's been announced entirely in terms of colleague and a few other things. Rick Ware may still have some things that they have unsettled on their second car. So there's still a lot of things that could happen over the next couple of months. The next week, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, should shake out quite a bit. Earnhardt also revealed why silly season started sooner than usual. The Stewart-Haas thing kind of kicked the ball down the road and got it going and inevitably created a stir, Earnhardt said. Everybody needs to know what they're doing by August. Pushing into September is really getting late for trying to get those announcements out and trying to start to develop everything you need in terms, not only just cars and crew and people, but merchandise and all of those things. That's stuff well out in front. That's why you want to get those seals announced and done as early as possible. Dale Earnhardt Jr. also reacted to Rodney Childers joining Spire Motorsports, as Rodney Childers will join Spire Motorsports as Corey LaJoie's crew chief. Earnhardt stated on the program that this inclusion is beneficial to LaJoie because Childers is one of NASCAR's finest. Childers has been one of, if not the finest, crew chiefs in the Cup Series during his career, working with Kevin Harvick to great success. Earnhardt Jr. wasn't surprised by the news, stating that he had heard whispers about Childers' decision, but he feels it might be a game changer for the number 7. There's a little bit of, I've heard that rumor being a possibility. I think it's a great get for Spire, right? Spire continues this, sort of, put up or shut up. Hey, we're in. We're no longer just looking at the financial bottom line and trying to be profitable at all costs, in terms of cost versus performance. They are now going after performance. They are spending money and focusing more on results, which I have to applaud them for, Earnhardt Jr. said. If Corey continues to be the driver, I think this is the opportunity. I think he has to be incredibly excited if he's the driver of the car next year, which I wouldn't. I know nothing to believe he wouldn't be. He's had a bit of a tough go lately, and critics are coming out about whether there needs to be a new direction for the number 7 car, and I think this is his opportunity to go and try and get the results that he thinks he's capable of getting. Rodney's one of the best in the garage. He's got a few years left, and I think eventually, Rodney's going to find that general manager, technical director role that gives him a little more time with his family, but he's got a few more good years on that pit box left, and this could be exactly what Corey LaJoie needs to get his career where he wants it to be. Childers is the most experienced active crew chief in NASCAR's main series, making this a significant acquisition for Spire. Dale Earnhardt Jr. feels that Spire will soon realize the advantages of having Childers on board, while other teams will be left scratching their heads. Earnhardt, speaking on the termed a missed opportunity for teams like Richard Childress Racing, which could have benefited someone like Childers. It's a missed opportunity or a loss for other teams that may have been interested in Rodney, Earnhardt said. Imagine if he had went to RCR with Kyle Busch. Imagine that pairing, Rodney and Kyle together. Kyle wins races, I think gets back to victory lane with Rodney. Even Rodney taking Andy Petrie's spot over there as sort of the technical director. I think technical director would have been a great hire. It was a missed opportunity for several teams that could have tried to lure Rodney there. Speaking specifically about RCR, the once dominant squad has struggled this season. Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon have struggled to find speed on a weekly basis, leaving Richard Childress looking for answers. Andy Petrie, RCR's vice president of competition, has recently retired, which is surprising considering the team's struggles this season. Keith Rodden has taken over in the meantime, giving RCR a new appearance, at least for the near term. Despite this, Childress admitted, "You can't fix it in the middle of the year. A lot of it is engineering. I feel that we're strong in a lot of areas and weak in some of the others. I want to beef up our engineering. We've got a lot of stuff that we're working on and hopefully we can get both of them running better." RCR and Childers were simply not meant to be, and LaJoie is undoubtedly the greatest winner. LaJoie is in the middle of his 4th full-time season with Spire, which has been challenging for him thus far. After 20 races, he is 31st in the points standings, with one top 5 finish. With Childers in his pit box, LaJoie hopes to turn things around next season. Plenty of work to do to finish this year strong, but really excited to get the chance to work with a championship-winning guy in Rodney next season, LaJoie wrote on X. Rodney's credentials speak for themselves. Earnhardt Jr. clearly believes in Childers, but LaJoie's dismal 2024 has caused him to reconsider for the time being. The veteran has been outpaced by rookie teammate Carson Hocevar all season, but the acquisition of Childers should help him get back on track next season. Regardless, Corey LaJoie has been yearning for a legitimate opportunity at Cup Series victories since entering the circuit, and it appears like Spire Motorsports, which has believed in him from the start, will provide him with one in 2024, with Rodney Childers controlling the shots. A good signing from Spire Motorsports? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.